When you see this, you can see that the Negro vote is the key factor. And despite the fact that you are in a position to be the determining factor, what do you get out of it? The Democrats have been in Washington, D.C. only because of the Negro vote. They've been down there 4 years. And all other legislation they wanted to bring up, they brought it up and gotten it out of the way, and now they bring up you. And now they bring up you. You put them first and they put you last. Because you're a chump. A political chump.
If I asked you to get a piece of paper and something to write with, and to make a numerical list of all the things that you would be willing to die for, how long is your list?
Panther 48.
Willing to die for.
Panther 48.
Willing to die for. How long is your list?
What is the tribal self?
Panther 48.
The tribal self is what goes above the immediate acquaintances of the social.
Willing to die
The
for.
family, the people you know, live next door.
You would be willing to die for.
Tribal self.
Panther 48.
I'm talking about those living, those yet unborn.
Peace and power. This your Panther 48, and today we're going to talk about, y'all could probably figure out what we were going to talk about based on the fact that it's the biggest thing in the news right now. We're dealing with the presidential elections. We're going to deal with the presidential elections, the two main contenders, I guess. We're also going to deal with politics as a whole, what politics means to a revolutionary, and a few other current affairs and current events and things that's going on in the news and media. So we're going to start off like this. We're going to assume that nobody knows what's going on, and we're going to talk about both of those campaigns, Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. War. I'm going to start with War because I really want to start with E, but E always want to go last. So I'm going to start with War and then let E come in. War, can you tell us your thoughts? First, I want to know, how important do you think it is to vote for the presidential election? How important do you think that is for Black people, considering the fact that Black people fought for the right to vote for many years? We could not and was not allowed to vote. How important do you think that is for Black people in general and Black Panthers in specific?
Well, I think the right to vote is important. I think who the premise in which the vote is utilized is our main problem. And it's I don't want to kind of get off the subject, but I would put it like this. The deal is, the Black Panther Party has always talked about us empowering ourselves as a people. The problem is when we talk about utilizing our vote, especially on a national election aspect, we ain't putting anybody up there in positions of power, along with other people that are in positions of power, that's going to make a damn difference. So to me, the problem is not the right to vote, because I think we should vote, but if the people that we're voting for and the system that we're voting in is completely corrupt, then it's not serving any interest. And I think that's the biggest problem, is because when we talk about, and it basically became a cliche, and it's been embedded and ingrained in our mentality to vote for the lesser of the evils. Right then and there, you're dealing with a bedrock of a problem. If my attitude is to go for the slowest poison, then to me it sounds like the system itself or the process need to be rehauled. Because if the best thing I can do is vote for the slowest poison or the least
the lesser of the two evils. Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying it's poison. Yeah. Poison is poison. So the point is, if I'm going to vote for the poison that doesn't have the hardest sting, but the fact of the matter is, I know that what I'm dealing with and what I'm engaging in is self-destructive, period. Is reactionary suicide, going back to what we talked about in a previous podcast. If I already know that that's what I'm doing, then I am not really utilizing my power. So the deal is when we think about politics, all we think about is voting. We don't think about the entire process of putting ourselves in positions of power. We think about, I'm gonna utilize my right to vote and utilizing my right to vote is the full extent of what it means to deal with politics and address the power structure. And so we have basically downgraded our understanding and our understanding of what it is we're supposed to be engaging in when we talk about self-sufficiency or self-determination. So, but the premise of voting to me is something that we should take serious. We just don't have the proper platform to take voting and utilize it in the right manner, especially based on the current situation we're talking about on the national elections as far as Trump and Kamala Harris. Plus, people got to go back and remember that we're dealing with a republic, and from that standpoint, and we're dealing with electoral politics. So it's not about the popular vote anyway. It's really it's totally different. So even with the popular vote going in one direction, that does not guarantee who's going to be put in office. And then when you're dealing with what's been framed as the demons and the reptilians, where do we go as Black people? We, especially here in the United States right now, our demographics, from as it applies to a national campaign of the people that you got in office, it's not serving our interest at all. And then as we go into this, I'm gonna dive into a little bit further as to why it don't serve our interest. But the bottom line, going back to the question you asked me, yes, I do believe there is power in voting. But if the platform in which voting is going about and the options, so to speak, that we have in regards to who we vote for is poison on the right side and poison on the left side, then you've rendered my vote neutralized. And I'm gonna leave it at that for right now.
E, what you think? Do you think how important do you think voting, especially for the president, is for Black people
You're talking about in this country, right?
in this country?
Well, you talking out both sides of your mouth. You can't tell me that the system is completely, totally corrupt. Oh, but it's important for us to vote. It's absolutely irrelevant whether or not we vote. We've already seen that with several elections. The popular vote is won by one person. The electoral college is by another person. You can just jump in because the incumbent candidate, you don't like him no more the way he do shit all of a sudden, and stick somebody in and make them the new presidential candidate. Fucking DNC, the conference hadn't even taken place. The convention is where they come up with, vote for, and establish the candidate. This broad already has a running mate and has announced her shit. What's the point of you voting? They keep telling you your shit doesn't fucking matter. And we keep pretending that it does because people want to buy into the bullshit. Dr. King and them fought for us to have a right to vote. No, they fucking didn't. They thought that the right to vote was a way to be free. They were fighting for us to be free, for us to move down the process and become one. The idea of what freedom was fucked up, but that's what they were fighting for, not the right to vote. What was it? One of the Marxists, somebody years and years ago said the people that cast the vote decide nothing. It's the ones that count the vote that determine everything. Back when George Bush Jr. Went up against Al Gore, and they had, you remember the hanging chads and all of that shit, where they were having issues counting the votes in Florida. They had to do a recount. And guess who was ahead of the person overseeing the recount? It was the Attorney General of Florida. Guess what else her job was? She was the head of the re-elect George Bush campaign. Who the fuck you think's gonna win Florida? We don't use what we like to talk about. We throw it out there, common sense. It's common fucking sense. You know who's going to do it. You know what's going on. But we keep buying into the charade and the facade, this illusion. Oh, we're voting. We're free. Just imagine if, 40, 50 million, whatever number of Black folk it is in this country, if none of us voted. None of us. Or if we all vote in Malcolm X. The global community would step back, because that's one of the things that when you look at the legitimacy of a nation, that's one of the things that they use to calibrate whether or not Venezuela or Ukraine or whoever is a democracy, is to have free and fair elections. If you have that percentage of people not voting in an election, the rest of the global community is going to step back and say, yo, those weren't free and fair elections. The U.S. is on a totally different footing now because the entire world is standing back and say, y'all not having elections. Y'all not a democracy. So they want to keep us voting, if for no other reason than to save face on the global scale, because foreign policy has been more important than domestic policy for a long time. You know, they're more concerned about what their neighbors think. It's just like uppity ass black folk. We gonna, you know, get the nice fly ride and get nice clothes and da 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 da. Meanwhile, we got broken pipes in the house. You know, old man beating up all the kids and beating this woman up and playing with everybody. And mother's hooked on some kind of drug or what. But as long as the neighbors think everything is copacetic, it's all good. But that's the U.S. The U.S. needs to maintain a face to the rest of the world so it can maintain its global hegemony, its empire status. It has to maintain a certain appearance. And if black folk will quit buying into the bullshit about voting is the least effective form of political expression that you can possibly participate in. Why? Because you say, oh, I like the way that one talks. Because let's face it, don't now you motherfuckers watching this, not watching it, don't none of y'all know what Kamala Harris's policies are, what her agenda is, what platform she's running on. And I know you don't, because I've been to the website and the only thing it says on there is, hey, donate some money. They don't even have a fucking platform that they presented y'all to try to hoodwink and fool y'all with. And y'all still falling for it. This fucking madness. Now it don't make no fucking difference. It's a dance. It's a scam. It's a way to keep us thinking that we're a part of the process. You're not a fucking part of the process other than being played. So again, if we just step back and none of us voted, the entire world would look at the U.S. completely different. Then motherfuckers might start paying attention. But let's be real. You talk about the black vote and black people voting. We're not black people voting. We're a bunch of individuals voting for whatever, whichever part of the show catches our attention. Some of us really like the Trump show. Some of us really like the Kamala show or whatever. We like to debate whether or not she black. We like to debate whether or not he racist. The dumbass questions. But we're voting as a bunch of fucking individuals going in individual directions. When Malcolm and them was talking about it, black folks voted as a block. Malcolm talked about it. Whichever way you go, you decide who goes to the White House and who goes back to his Texas cotton patch. That's
22 million black victims of Americanism are waking up, and they're gaining a new political consciousness, becoming politically mature. And as they develop this political maturity, they're able to see the recent trends in these political elections. They see that the whites are so evenly divided that every time they vote, the race is so close, they have to go back and count the votes all over again. And which means that any block, any minority that has a block of votes that stick together is in a strategic position. Either way you go, that's who gets it. You're in a position to determine who go to the White House and who stay in the doghouse. You're the one who has that power. You can keep Johnson in Washington, D.C., or you can send him back to his Texas cotton patch.
That's what Malcolm said. It ain't that way no more. Black folk vote for anything in any direction, and there's no cohesiveness. So even the idea, even if voting was important in this shit, it wouldn't mean anything to black people because we're not black folk. We're a bunch of black individuals doing what individuals do, which is vote whatever we want to do with no concern for the concept of the whole. So no, it's a waste of time. Unless you're writing in Malcolm X, I actually think about, I might go and vote and write in Malcolm X just for kicks. Last time I did it, I wrote in Farrakhan. He didn't win. But this time I might vote, I might write in Malcolm X. Just to prove my goddamn point.
Now, for the listening audience, I'm going to do this real quick because I know we all know and we assume that everybody know, but one thing we do know is our people don't really understand politics. And what E and War were talking about when they talked about the popular vote and that your vote doesn't count, and this is in the Constitution. If you really want to understand it, this is in the Constitution, and the Electoral College decides who the president is. Just think of it like this. Okay, I'm going to get a whole bunch of group of people. Y'all tell me who you want to be your chairman. But I got 5 people over here that's called my electoral college. I'm gonna let y'all vote. Yep, we gonna count up those votes. We're gonna look at, okay, this is who the people like. If we disagree with that, my electoral college can say, I ain't going with that. We're gonna do this. And the reason for that is that the founding fathers literally did not believe in the intelligence of the populace. They literally didn't believe that you had the intelligence to choose who you wanted to lead a quote unquote free world. So they gave you the, like he just told you, they gave you the ideal, because a lot of times, sometimes the ideal is more important than the reality of it. So they gave you the ideal that you was free and you was choosing, and that makes you calm and relax and makes you feel free. But in reality, they kept complete control of that, because again, they looked at you and said, I don't think the population is going to be smart enough to choose the correct person. And they knew you weren't going to be smart enough because they knew that they had devised clever ways to make sure that you was constantly miseducated. So they just didn't trust in you. So another question. The two main people that we're really going to be looking at, we got the two main parties, the Republican Party and the Democratic Party. There are many other parties, but since the history of America, no other party really gets there. It's the Republican and Democrat. That's who you're going to deal with. Who is Donald Trump? Anybody want to? I mean, I don't know anything. Who is Donald? Who is this guy? Some people love this guy. They stormed the Capitol for this guy. I think this guy got a team that'll revolt for this guy. I was talking to a brother not too long ago, real good revolutionary brother. He believes that if Donald Trump gets into office, we having World War III. Can any of y'all tell me why? Who is this guy, and why would this guy start World War III? Can anybody explain this to me?
Well, I just simply start by just talking about the character of Donald Trump. So, I mean, in essence, Donald Trump, the reason why he has kind of sort of represented or spoken to a lot of the what I would call the white America is because he speaks his mind. And everybody understanding, at least to a basic degree, that politics is basically politics. When you have somebody that's blatant, uh, not trying to utilize and sugarcoat that this is what politics is. In fact, when he first ran, he basically came right out and said that it's all about manipulating the people. And he used that as part of his running campaign, and which is what helped to get him elected, because he was honest with the people and said that basically I'm going politics is about tricking you, and this is what's going on. So by being blatantly honest, people felt and started gravitating toward that. It wasn't that he came to the table with anything in terms of wanting to change the system in regards to what it is. He just flat out told you what the system was. It's no different than you have a homeless person on the street corner that's saying, "Hey, I need a little money for some food," and then you drive a little further down the block, and this one say, "Fuck it, I just need a beer," and you get a dollar to one that said, "I need a beer," because he's being honest. It was like a breath of fresh air to white America that Trump was willing to say how he felt, and coming from somebody that was basically a movie star and a business mogul, then from that standpoint, he found a calling. Also, I would say we have to realize that because Barack Obama was the previous president, it also awoken a aspect of white America that made them that brought back up the aspect of being blunt and outright open racist. And Trump was able to speak to that. He was able to speak to those people that did not like the idea of the White House having a black face in there. Now, mind you, this has nothing to do with whether or not that person did anything for black people, because that wasn't the point. It was just the fact that this is called the White House, and you got this black person in office. And so from that standpoint, that helped to also fuel and create a situation where you could have a Donald Trump in office. And so by Trump coming from the background he came from, to where he built up a status, throughout the world, actually, from real estate, and has been and had his own program show. I forgot what the name of it because I never watched it, but it was basically people.
The Apprentice.
The Apprentice. Okay. So people come on the show and get hired to do something, and he fires them. So people started liking that reality. People was into reality TV, and Trump was a known name on reality TV. Trump has kind of been a person that always mixed in the music scene, even in the hip hop scene. Trump was a lot of music recording artists were dealing with Trump before Trump became in office. So Trump spoke to these people. So from that standpoint, folks, he already had a following. He already had a built-in following, just like Arnold Schwarzenegger had one in Hollywood when he was running from an elected position. So people recognized that and they gravitated toward that. And Trump being blatantly honest was something that they felt like was a breath of fresh air. Again, it had nothing to do with any actual policies or anything that he really intended to do when he got in office, other than when it comes to a large mega corporations, he wanted to remove, and he did remove a lot of the restrictions that prevented corporations from being able to make even more money. He basically created a pathway for it to be easier for mega corporations to do their business overseas and elsewhere. And so Trump came in and did that, and he used all of these things to try to gravitate the people around him. And by speaking to the white power structure and the average white person in that capacity, he was able to galvanize folks to fall into this whole mega thing, which I don't know much about the mega. I'm not going to be honest about the whole conspiracy mega climate, and grab that backing and started talking about fake news and fake politics, and he just used the game to his full advantage, and it worked for him, and that's what's working for him the second time around.
Now you said white people, but black people also like this guy. It's a lot of black people that's behind this guy. Matter of fact, I don't, and I haven't looked at any numbers, but just based on what we see in popular culture, it's almost like the black vote for the first time is extremely divided, because you got a large group that's going with Trump, and you got a large group that's going with Kamala. And to go back to what you just said about Donald Trump, they was rapping about Trump in the 90s, music. You know, one thing about black people, we're extremely materialistic. So we praise whoever got the money. You know, Scarface said, and that money and the power, nigga rolling hard, stacking paper like Trump. You know, they've been praising Trump's name in black culture for an extremely long time. But and neither one of y'all can jump on this one. What is it about Trump that black people love so much? Because there's a lot of black people that's running with Trump. I mean, Kanye West came out in support of Trump. Candace Owens came out in support of Trump. A lot of people came out and supported Donald Trump. What is it about black people? I mean, about Trump that black people like so much?
To me, I still would say it goes back to the terminology, the devil you know. And that is when you got somebody that is refreshing in terms of letting you know how they feel about you. It's like what I experienced growing up in Texas. In Texas, I got pulled over by the police and I got called nigga. I got gun point to my head and I got called nigga. I knew I was dealing with, when I dealt with the average white person that was racist, you know that they racist. They let you know that they know you racist. As I moved further on toward the West Coast, they became snakes in the grass. And I think the mentality is a good deal of people, black folks, rather know what they did. They rather deal with a Klans member that is willing to let you know what he got under his hood and let you know who he is, than one that's willing to hide in the closet. And that's really how I see that. As well as, again, Trump was involved in the entertainment industry. Trump has always been about business. And so when you talk about entertainers, from that standpoint, of course, when it comes to making money, he's going to make it. If you're going to choose to make money and indulge in exploitation and capitalistic system, he's going to make it better for you. So from that standpoint, that's why a lot of the entertainers, and that's why people have always referenced him, because as being somebody in real estate, as being somebody that would actually hang out at some of the hip hop parties around these cats in that industry, and Trump being somebody that also wheeled and dealed and helped hook people up with entertainment attorneys and help put deals together. Of course they like that, because they like the money. They like what they receive. They like the benefits from it. And from that standpoint, you didn't have any other person that's running for president in the recent history that also worked in those circles. The closest thing people thought they came to when we talk about black folks liking a president was Bill Clinton, and black folks was crazy enough to fall for him because he got up on a talk show and played the saxophone. So playing the saxophone all of a sudden created an appeal to black folks behind Bill Clinton, and so no understanding politics like Trump does. He just played that hand. He played with cards he already knew he had. So he's just capitalizing off of his background, off of the interest, and off of the surface level understanding that the average person has.
Man, okay, first of all, black folk ain't materialistic. We've been taught to mimic the materialistic mindset of the oppressor. We're doing what they want us to do. So yeah, Trump has for years been, he's kind of circulated around in those circles of power, and he was this real estate guy, but more than that, he licenses his name to shit. So just putting Trump on some shit has for years gotten a certain amount of clout, gotten a certain amount of prestige and whatnot, because you got Trump on this shit. And I think it's more that the game has become so convoluted and so just silly. No doubt Donald Trump being able to clap back. I mean, let's face it, if you watch any of his debate performances and all that, he got a mouth. I love going back and watching him get on Hillary and take shots at her and whatnot. Calling her, you don't want to change the tax laws because y'all making money off of it. I mean,
Did you use that $916 million loss to avoid paying personal federal income taxes?
Of course I do. Of course I do. And so do all of her donors, or most of her donors. I know many of her donors. Her donors took massive tax write-offs.
So have you not paid personal federal income taxes?
A lot of my write-off was depreciation and other things that Hillary, as a senator, allowed. And she'll always allow it because the people that give her all this money, they want it. That's why. See, I understand the tax code better than anybody that's ever run for president. Hillary Clinton, and it's extremely complex, Hillary Clinton has friends that want all of these provisions, including they want the carried interest provision, which is very important to Wall Street people, but they really want the carried interest provision, which I believe Hillary's leaving. It's very interesting why she's leaving carried interest. But I will tell you that, number one, I pay tremendous numbers of taxes. I absolutely used it, and so did Warren Buffett, and so did George Soros, and so did many of the other people that Hillary is getting money from. Now, I won't mention their names because they're rich, but they're not famous, so we won't make them famous.
Can you say how many years you have avoided paying personal federal income taxes?
No, but I pay tax, and I pay federal tax, too. But I have a write-off. A lot of it's depreciation, which is a wonderful charge. I love depreciation. She's given it to us. Hey.
Just be real. Dave Chappelle talked about it. He just straight up and said, look, I know the game is rigged because I'm using the fucking game. So that type of brazen, you know how we do. Cats that come up and just tell you and just put it on the line, and there's a certain amount of respect that goes along with that. But the reality of it is, it's just playing another round of what do you call it? Of personality, the cult of personality. Anybody that says if Trump gets in office, we're going to go, just going to be World War III. Wah, 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 wah. That's somebody who has no clue about what's been going on in geopolitics, global geopolitics. The Democratic Party, your girl Kamala. I don't know if I want to say her name right out of respect for the language, or if I want to say it wrong out of disrespect for her ass. But her and all her cohorts, they have been fomenting all of these wars from Ukraine to Israel to China, all of this shit for all of these years. So what fucking evidence do you have that Donald Trump, who when he was in office tried to make nice and play nice with Russia and keep things from boiling over, and if the headlines are to be believed, tried to make nice with Putin and Russia and all of them, and he was called essentially a traitor. by people like Kamala Harris, because the Democratic Party, Kamala Harris, they want to go to war because they're making money off of it, because they're wanting to control and maintain the empire. So all of this, oh, Trump's going to take us into war, is nonsense. Check out the news a little bit, would you? Read a fucking book. Realize what's been going on with the expansion of NATO and the U.S. Read Democrats, because they've been there for a minute. Even your boy Obama was on the same side. So it's nonsense. We are getting less and less aware. I'm trying not to say dumb, but we're getting dumber and dumber when it comes to things like this. We have no fucking clue. You are literally voting for two people who have, Trump has a scant platform. And the stuff that's on there, if you really read it, obviously none of it's geared to help us, but people want to jump on board because they like his personality. Kamala then came out and said point blank, no, flowery speech, no double speak, no talking around and coding nothing. She said, I'm not going to sit up here and say I'm going to do something that's going to benefit black people. No, this is what the fuck she said. She done signed a anti-Asian hate bill. She done got down with trans rights. She done got down with the Jewish or the Zionist, it's not even the Jewish, the Zionist state of Israel, talking about we have their back, unflinching, we're in for them. So she's willing to do something for every other fucking group. But your black ass, what she has said point blank, I'm not going to help you. This is what she said. But because so many of a large part of the folks that are it's the if you look at it, the ones, it kind of breaks down. The folks, black folks with money are going for Kamala, in part because of the whole Greek fraternity and sorority network that goes on. She's an AKA. I believe it's an AKA, and they're all running around hype because she an AKA and all these other sororities, black sororities and shit. And fraternity talking about she Greek, yeah, we gonna put her in. So they're building off of this false, this fake, this superficial European created unity, but they're not bonding around our unity. They're not bonding around people. They're looking at the money game and the network and what they can get out of it, and just the fact that they can say, oh, we have an AKA in office. She the first AKA, she the first black this, black that, or whatever she's claiming this month. So we don't, and most of the folks that are going in for Trump are broke black folk. Most of the black folk that I've seen that are going and throwing in for Trump are folks that ain't got money. I know there are exceptions, but from what I've been seeing, that's essentially from the big picture, how it breaks down. Wealthier folk going this way, poor folk going this way. But again, it all boils down to, it doesn't fucking matter. When Trump was in office before, the Pentagon and them, they came out and acknowledged, yeah, we don't tell Trump. They're supposed to tell the president, give him security briefings about what's going on in the world and in the country in terms of national security. They were keeping it from him because they didn't want him pulling out of certain wars. They didn't want him retracting from the empire establishment that they had established and were attempting to maintain. So they denied giving him information. So that lets you know president isn't even calling the shots on this shit. Joe Biden being out of his fucking mind for years now, but the country's still going along. If this motherfucker can't make a sentence, if he can't walk off stage after giving this jet real recently, there was an exchange of prisoners between Russia and the U.S. So the plane lands, the prisoners get off in the U.S. that they're getting back from Russia. We say, hey, welcome back, blah, blah, blah. They show this video, Kamala and some other folks standing here. Biden, dingling that he is, he's wandering around. He decides, he walks up into the jet. It's a little, what do you call it? A personal little private jet thing. He decides he's going to walk up in the jet. Everybody else that's with him is looking at him like, what? They're looking around. What is he doing? What's happening? Nobody knows what's going on because this dumb ass is just going for a walk up into a plane. But you think this motherfucker is actually running the country? Figure this shit out, y'all. Quit being dumb fucks. Stop. I'm tired of this shit. I'm tired of telling y'all this. I'm tired of saying it. At some point, motherfuckers are either going to get crushed by this shit or they're going to wake up. They ain't neither one of them calling the shots. If this motherfucker can't figure out you don't get on the plane after they get off, you go on about your business or whatever it is you're supposed to do, how is he sitting up having these conversations with world leaders and really calling the shots on this shit? But you want to vote for this chick because she black, or because this month, since she became the nominee, she black, who can't form coherent sentences to the point that she's not, even though she's accepted or taken the nomination from the Democratic Party, has yet to sit down with the press, which is standard. You have a press conference after shit like that happens to answer questions and give you a vision, all that bullshit. She hasn't done that shit because she can't, because she doesn't have a brain for shit. This chick, let's be real, this chick was able to move up because she fucked the right dude. That's a fact. She got her entry into all of this shit because she fucked the right dude in California and started coming up. She a hoe. I don't give a fuck. She on the block, she be a hoe. That's what she would get called. She a hoe. Ain't bad at you. You'll fuck your way to the top. But be honest about it. Just be honest about it. So this broad has absolutely nothing that she's going to do for black folk. Can't figure out what it is she should be doing. She's just kind of there while other people are calling the shots. So if you think, oh, she's going to save us from some world war, Donald Trump's going to take us into world war, don't vote. Just don't, because you have no clue what it is you're doing. You're just going in and pushing the button like you've been told, automatic, systematic, remote control, not thinking. You're just reacting. You have an emotional response to a white man versus a black chick. And out of this misunderstanding of what it is we're supposed to be doing, we think that by voting for the black chick, we're striking one for black people. All right, that's black power. Okay, the system is fucked up. It was never meant for you. And now the wheels are coming off the bitch and showing you exactly what it is, but you still refuse to see it because you want to hold on to some sentimentality. Go ahead. I just at this point don't give a fuck. Jump on the end of shit, and as the shit collapses, go back and watch The Matrix. Morpheus told you this shit collapsed and you connected to the shit, you going down with it. It goes to hell, you going to hell with it. Just go ahead. They're doing fucking these satanic, you come on to be Christians and all of that, and they do all of these satanic ass rituals and shit in your face, in your fucking face. And you still roll along with it. One of my favorite lines from Donald Trump, when he was at some rally, some black guy, somebody opened the crowd, he pointed over there, pointed at the dude, said, look at my African American.
Look at my African American over here. Look at him.
He let you know right there, he owned you. That's my African. He might as well have said, look at my nigga. That's essentially what he was saying. Look at that African American. That's my nigga. Just like in Belly, you my nigga. You all right. You my nigga. That's what it is. But we keep pretending. Quit fucking pretending and deal with reality, y'all. Stop this bullshit. I mean, it's old. It's so fucking old. We shouldn't be having this conversation. They fucking hate you and want to keep you a slave. And they're playing you. You are being played. I don't get how motherfuckers can be so calm and so cool with being played. You are being played, but you still want to play with them. Fuck that. I'm taking my ball and I'm going home.
I'm taking a ball and going home. Hey, that's...
Hey, so is that why Megan Thee Stallion was on stage then?
You goddamn right. This broad shaking her ass and coochie boochie woochie. What kind of example you supposed to? If Kamala was so great, why does she have some hoochie coochie broad getting up there shaking her ass? Don't do nothing but rap about pussy and money. Why is she up here? Why would you pose that as an example if you're supposed to be, if this is supposed to be such a wonderful thing for the black community, but you got some hoochie coochie chick sitting up here popping her coochie in front of everybody? That's not what we're about, but that's the example that you're fucking comfortable with. You're comfortable with the bullshit. You're comfortable with being called bitches and niggas, and now you got somebody who wants your vote. So what do? They come at you live on stage and call you a bitch and a nigga, and you roll with it because that's what you're used to. You used to being disrespected. And that's crazy. We're actually voting for who can disrespect us the smoothest. Who got the best disrespect game? That's what we want to see. That's some fucked up shit.
Another question. I'm gonna put out there right quick. What about, because there'll be black people that'll say, if you ain't black if you don't go for Kamala. You ain't black. You ain't supporting black people if you don't go for Kamala Harris. What do y'all think about that?
Well,
I
that
said,
goes.
if you ain't black, if you vote, so what? Those are just words. I don't give a fuck about that shit. I got bigger problems. Hell, my mother's white. I've been catching that you ain't really black shit all my life. That stick don't work on me. Fuck that.
Well, I was just gonna say, remember that just came from Biden, and
Yes.
most folks bit that. So now that you actually got a quote unquote black person that's in a position running for the presidency, then yeah, they can really run that line, and she helps them to run that line. I think that's also why she threw up there and had Megan Thee Stallion up there. You want doing everything you can to relate to the surface mentality of the average black person who, again, like even he said, think that voting is the best form of exercising your political understanding. Where it's the worst thing, like he said, it's the worst thing. It's the worst aspect, or should I say, the least aspect of the lowest aspect of actual dealing with self determination is voting. But that is what we've been, all the other forms have been neutralized. So that's just it. We're left with thinking about that one aspect, and that's where they want the black population and pretty much the majority of Americans, period. That's where the elite want you to think. They want you to focus in on voting for who they put in positions of power. That's all it is. It's nothing but pawns being put in positions of power, and they want the average American to basically accept the table, accept the way the chessboard is laid out, and play the game. And to play the game basically means, hey, you vote for this, hey, you vote for that. But the bottom line is they have stripped us of our ability to recognize the difference between choice and options. And I say this a lot of times when we go through to the average Panther, when we go through our recruit training. Most of our people exchange choice, or should I say freedom, for civil liberties. By doing so, we don't know what it means to deal with choices. So therefore, we are trapped with options. And so being trapped in the mentality of options, we go with the option that best suits us. But when you know the difference between options and choices, you realize that the bottom line, if somebody provides you options, they have stripped you of your choice, which means it don't really matter which one you pick, because now I got you in my game. You playing my game. So the bottom line is, whether you go with what's in the left hand or the right hand, you're going with something that is in my hand. You see, I have stripped you of your choice. You've accepted to play the game, and now you're gonna go with the Democrats or the Republicans, and it really don't matter which one you pick, because you bought into the game of, well, I can either get this or get that. It's like what I remember Don King doing as a boxing promoter, to where he would have two of his fighters fighting against each other. It really don't matter at that point which one wins or which one loses. I'm gonna get paid either way it go. And as a boxer, you just happen to get that fight, that either the title fight or get the fame so that you can get in that ring. So you willing to play that game. It's no different than how Donald Trump, basically, when you think about the people that he pardoned Lil Wayne and he pardoned Kodak Black. He made sure to get them two. You see, and then also another one of the things he did is he helped sign. He was a strong supporter and helped push through the Music Modernization Act, which from that standpoint, it helped artists be able to receive more money on royalties when it came to streaming your recordings. And so now with the music age shifting away from the mega corporations and the mega recording labels as being a primary means of getting money and everything, a lot of pretty much mostly everything that went online. You don't have no music stores that you go buy albums at anymore, very few. And so from that standpoint, as a recording artist, he's gonna get my vote at that point, because guess what? He's helping me in the entertainment industry. You see, and he's always been aligned with that. And again, if you want to trick the masses of people, you use it by putting an actor or a recording artist in front of the screen and getting them to endorse the candidate, and then do a little performance for you. No different than a minstrel show, do a little performance for you. And next thing you know, you're going to buy into it. So it's all about the appeal to your emotions. That's what we call being emotionally charged. So it's not about getting you to focus in on anything that has to do with policies, or what I'm going to actually do for you when I get in office, or anything that I'm going to make, any changes I'm going to make. It's not about that. It's about getting you to get in your emotions and stay in your emotions and operate from that gut feeling, not from any detailed research or being an advocate of the system and wanting to make change or wanting to bring progress. It ain't about none of that. It's always about what can I do to win over your emotions so that you can vote for me. So politics from this standpoint ain't no different than any other corporation advertising this product and finding a good method or good way to trick you through neurolinguistic programming to go ahead and either purchase that product or purchase your vote. Same difference. It's just capitalism. It's corporate capitalism.
Bernard Getz, you motherfuckers, y'all too young to remember this shit. But back in like the 90s or 80s or some shit, the dude was on Bernie Getz on a New York subway, and I guess got threatened by some black kids, and he pulled a gun. These dudes turned around, started running away. He shot them. One of them, I believe, ended up in like a wheelchair. and in my head and everybody I knew, you know, white folks, of course, were saying, "Oh, he was defending himself." Black folks were saying they was turning around, running away. How you defend yourself against somebody shooting them in the back? Trump was all in for having them go to jail. Trump has never been on black folks' side. They used to hide the black staff when Trump would come around to some of the businesses, the hotels and shit that he had. Trump ain't never been a friend to black folk ever, ever. And they haven't stripped us of shit. We don't understand self-determination because generationally we bought into what they've told us. That's the biggest problem to me is we keep believing what they tell us. We have no confidence in who we are because we've continually over the generations let go of that concept of who we are. You know, what's his name? Johnson. When they were talking about the civil rights bills and acts and all of that, and I think it was Candace that brought this shit out and was talking about it. But he is supposed to have said that if they pass these voting rights acts and civil rights acts and all of that, black folks will be voting for the Democratic Party for the next 60, 70, 100 years. They'll have us in their pocket. And sure enough, here we are these years later, and we're in their pocket. If we look at even Obama, you know, people love to prop him up because he was the first black guy. Well, supposedly he wasn't. Y'all don't know. But supposedly the first black president in this country. And ain't shit changed. We still getting beat the fuck by cops. Y'all already forgot the system massively just a few weeks ago. Ain't shit changed. Y'all forgot Floyd. Ain't shit changed. Your money is worth less, so you got to work harder. Ain't shit changed. Every president comes and goes and shit doesn't change. You get a little more excited, a little more happy. You make more money, maybe. But then your money is worth less, so you have to spend more to get the same shit because we're not thinking. We don't think. We've been reduced to emotionalism, period. That's all we do. That's all they have to do to get somebody in office is appeal to our emotions, whether it's Megan, whether it's getting the right cats out of jail because they didn't let your nigga Ray Ray out of jail. They didn't let your cousin out of jail. No, they let some motherfuckers out of jail that they knew was going to come out and say what they said. Oh, Trump's the shit because he let me out of jail. Yeah. Yeah, Hitler would be the shit if he came and let me out of jail. You know, if Hitler came along and got psych off of vacation, 6 years early, I'd be like, yo, Hitler the shit because he got my man out of jail. Boom, he got my vote. We're emotional. He can say, fuck everybody else, but I'm going to get your man out of jail and we roll with it. So this emotional individualism that we keep buying into, we refuse to think. Even after we've said this, people will not think. That's the problem. We are emotional, and that's all we know. Even when we think we're thinking, we're not, because we don't know what thinking is, and we damn sure don't set aside any time in our lives to think about thinking, which sounds stupid, sounds real thrown off, but it's actually something that you should think about. Think about thinking. You're not thinking, you're emoting. Because when we get down to the thinking, it means you got to pay attention, you got to read some shit, you got to listen to some people you don't want to listen to, have conversations that are boring as fuck, that take forever. And I know, we all three know, because we done been in these fucking meetings and conferences and shit that last 10 hours, and then you break and then come back and do it all again. But some of this shit, a lot of this shit is what is absolutely necessary. So it doesn't really fucking matter who you put in office. It just fucking doesn't. The train is going to go on, no matter if it's Republican, Democrat, or whomever, because it is a machine designed to maintain the status quo. And you are part of the status quo by acting like chattel and rushing up to support them. Stop fucking supporting them. You want to change police brutality? You want to make things better? Stop voting. Stop buying all the latest and greatest iPhones and bullshit. Divest. Rob them of their money. Rob them of their power. That's the way you do. Fuck a vote. I guarantee if we all took our money out of their pockets right now, they start listening. But as long as you just voting, you can vote Republican. Democrats don't give a shit because you still gonna spend your money over there with them. It don't fucking matter. Stop being fucking stupid about shit, would you? My bad.
Oh, hey, let me say one other thing in regards to if you don't vote for Kamala, you ain't black. There's also a meme out there and some people out there basically chanting the same thing on Trump's side, basically saying if you don't vote for him, you ain't black because he had 37 felonies. He's like one of us.
That's a damn shame.
That's some fucked up shit.
Yeah, and you're right, because they are saying that. You're right. You know,
getting a fucking case is a key characteristic of blackness. Well, shit, if voting for either one of them is a way to determine whether or not you're black, I don't want to be black. Here's my black card. I quit. I don't want to be a part of your shit. If that's what I got to do to prove my blackness, fuck you. It doesn't matter. Yeah, I don't want to be that black. I don't want to be that. If that's what y'all think blackness is, find another word for me. I'll find another word. I'll be something else. I'll be a Negro again. Maybe I'm gonna go back to being a Negro.
You know what it is? You don't want to be my nigga, because that's what it's about. That's really what it's about. You don't want to be my nigga. You know, these folks want to be my nigga. You know, you got in XXL magazine, they got a whole article about all of the rappers that support Trump. You know what I mean? So you got a whole issue. You got an issue that's dedicated to talking about that. So again, it's being promoted in the hip hop industry because again, a lot of these rappers are on board, and you got people like Sexy Red, and you got weird people in our minds. They weird anyway that just fall right into that category of keeping us dumbed down in terms of just how the type of music they deliver and what they promote. But they all on board with Trump because again, he helps the industry maintain the status that it does in terms of the type of music that gets promoted and pushed out there, because we don't want to wake up and deal with conscious hip hop music, whereas we want to just deal with this crazy manipulated sadistic form of rap that is all about ass and booty and how much money we can spend, which again helps Trump, helps his name, helps his brand, helps the exploitation engine thrive and continue to push, because we've fallen into that trap again, being surface level. That's what's going on. So it's you got to decide: do you want to be black or do you want to be my nigga? Make up your mind.
And that shit, and people and these motherfuckers within the movement who's so-called conscious like to pick and fucking choose. Anybody that is a part of the movement but is still co-signing for either one of these motherfuckers, y'all ain't black, because your brother Malcolm said and warned us against these entertainers that are propped up as leadership.
Comics, trumpet players, baseball players. Show me in the white community where a comedian is a white leader. Show me in the white community where a singer is a white leader, or a dancer or a trumpet player is a white leader. These aren't leaders. These are puppets and clowns that have been set up over the white community and over the black community by the white community, and have been made celebrities and usually say exactly what they know that the white man wants to hear.
Kodak Black ain't led shit for me. Megan Thee Stallion ain't led shit for me. They're not leaders. They're puppets, and they're playing you right back into that same shit. But we love the way it sounds. We like to shake our ass, and they smile at us like a good master should. You know, you had the good master, and you had the one that beat your ass. But either way, they both your master. So it don't matter. Kamala don't even believe in your ass because she married a white dude. The fuck is you thinking? I'm not black because I don't vote for a black chick that married a white dude. Get the fuck out of my face with that. That is just some stupid ass logic. That's just stupid. Dumb.
Man, hey, hold on now. That just wasn't any white dude. That was a Jew.
Oh, my
Come
bad.
on
Yeah,
now.
Jew white
Give him
boy.
his credit.
My bad. He one of the chosen white people. My bad. She came up. What was I thinking? Fucking idiots, man.
Now I was about to say Huey said it, but he was actually quoting Carl von Clausewitz. He was actually quoting him when he said that politics is war without bloodshed, and war is politics with bloodshed. And the way that he broke that down is he said whenever the people don't are not getting what they want or desire in the society, then they use the method of politics and to get it. And when they start utilizing the method of politics and they still don't get the things that they want, politics continue. But politics becomes physical, and we call that war. Basically saying that war and politics are the exact same thing. I said that to say this, because again, when we talk about politics, the average black person thinks, or the average person, the average citizen in this country, because the average citizen in this country has a poor education, they think politics is voting. And that's the full extent of politics. Both of you just said that politics is the lowest form. I mean, voting is the lowest form of politics. So what would be a higher level of politics? What would be a higher level of political understanding, political consciousness, and political activity?
Well, wait a minute. Well, I'm gonna let you go on it, but I want to, because this is burning in my head and I have to say it before I forget it. Think how good these motherfuckers are. Think about it. You got black rappers, black folk in the hood, niggas, talking about how they down with Trump. He got, all of these felonies, wah, 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 blah, 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 blah. Hood ass niggas that don't mind being called niggas. I call you my nigga because I got love for you, my niggas. Okay. The same exact time, this motherfucker has bona fide neo-Nazi Klan skinhead motherfucker saying, yeah, we love Trump. The fuck? How are you gonna have one candidate that appeals to both sides of the fucking coin? That should tell you something right there. That shit is shady as fuck. You got the master who's down with him. You got the slave who's down with him. What is that? How did somebody make that make sense to me? My bad, Ward. Go ahead.
Now, I was just gonna say, when we talk about higher forms in us understanding, or should I say understanding and overstanding what it means to deal with self-governance, because when we talk about being self-determined as a people, and let's just go back to what the Black Panther Party and the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense was primarily dealing with, because remember, we had a 10-point platform, and on our 10-point platform, in 1966, it said we want freedom, we want the power to determine the destiny of our Black community. To determine the destiny of your Black community means that you, as Black people, determine your destiny in your community. That means you do it. That doesn't mean you elect somebody to represent your interests. That means you need to take part and own up to the obligation you have to move yourself and your community in the directions it's to go in. So the Black Panther Party was instrumental in establishing its own programs for the community, and got the people of the community to engage and do this work. The problem is when we have allowed the government basically come in and strip that away, because that model was removed from the Black Panther Party, and the government took over these programs because they realized that we can't allow these communities to think about self-determination. We can't allow these communities to be stuck on controlling their own politics within their community. So what we're going to do is we're going to snatch this up and implement this warfare program and dominate and control what that means. And when we fail for that, when we fell for being assimilated, all of those things went out the window. And all that was left was one of the initial things that helped kick off initially us realizing that we needed to do for self in the first place. Because keep in mind, when the Voting Rights Act was passed and Black folks had the opportunity, that's when the Black Panther Party, through SNCC and other forms, got real active. But that had to do with us in our communities saying that, hey, we're going to put our people in positions of power. But the only thing we seem to remember nowadays is that one aspect of that, which has to do with the voting. So the irony of the fact that the Black Panther Party was initially established through getting black people to know who to vote for, because we were a lot of us were illiterate, and so we couldn't read, so we used the symbol of the panther. Where now we back at the position again, to where black folks seem to not necessarily know how to read, but they know how to comprehend what's going on in the political field. So yet again, we find ourselves stuck in the same position that the Black Panther Party started with. The demographics are different now, though. Now, because we are an assimilated society, that model ain't gonna work for us. Now that we're an assimilated society, thinking that we can utilize that as a way to get us free is not going to work. Case in point, even within the dynamics of what the Black Panther Party was doing, when it changed from being revolutionary in terms of its ideology to being reformist, when they basically Huey decided to shut down all of the national chapters and say, y'all all come to Oakland, and then we're gonna consolidate our power, and then we're gonna get Bobby Seale elected and Elaine Brown elected. And that didn't happen. If you look at Oakland now, Oakland has one of the highest crime rates in the United States, one of the largest levels of killings. Two of the most powerful chapters, the national chapter in Oakland and in Illinois. In Illinois, if you look at the crime rate and you look at the levels of violence going on, these are two areas where you damn sure should still have the most powerful Panther chapters. And now today you don't. And then in Chicago, hell, if the electoral process was something that actually was going to get us free, remember the Minister of Defense of the Black Panther Party chapter, right next to Fred Hampton, his right hand man, Bobby Rush, got elected in politics. He made it up in a politics game. Was friends with Bill Clinton, which is ought to tell you what a mindset is. But from that standpoint, if that was going to actually free our people, then what happened? What happened? Where did we go wrong if we thought that? So that ain't what it's about. When we say that we need to deal with gaining our freedom and we want to promote the power of practice and self-determination, that means we need to bring that back to ourselves. We need to realize, and this is one of the things that I talk about, even though I'm living in San Diego, California, there's aspects of separatism that we have to recognize, simply because as long as we allow our psychic to be dominated by everything that is self-destructive for us as a people, we ain't gonna ever be in the right headspace to realize that self-determination only can come by us engaging in our own freedom. We can't expect those that are in office to do it for us. We have to do it for ourselves. And in doing it for ourselves mean that you got to get off your ass and actually put in some work in your community and do some things to actually make change on your level that's going to help improve your conditions. But to think that a politician, again, a politician is a career path, okay? If it's a career path, it's more about me being able to put food on my table, tricking you so that you can vote for me and elect me and put me back in a position year after year after year than anything else. Okay. When I'm a career politician, that needs to be my first and foremost thing, is how do I stay in this position of power? And I can't stay in a position of power if I'm going to appease the ones that are being oppressed, because the ones that are being oppressed are the ones that are basically the peons and who the corporations are extorting. And the corporations are the ones that's funding my campaign. The corporations are the ones that's helping to prop me up and get me in position. It ain't the peons, because they just pay their tax dollars. They don't know what to do. They pay their tax. Once they pay their tax money, that's all that matters, because that's going to automatically be allocated to my pocket when I get in office. Since they don't hold anybody accountable as it applies to the politics in the first place, they just pay their taxes and go on and think voting is the exchange for paying their taxes. Then I don't need to do anything to appease to them other than pull one of these rappers or one of these rap artists or one of these movie stars by the coattail and say, go say a few words on my behalf, get me elected, and let's keep this moving. And that's all you got to do. So we have failed to recognize where our true power is. We have given our power away. And once we've given our power away and we still operate on a domestic mentality, then what else do you expect? We love to be my niggas. We love to be the house slaves and not recognize what's really being going on. We don't want Master's house to burn down. And as long as we don't want Master's house to burn down, then hell yeah, we should be voting for the reptilians or the demons. It don't matter. because we are afraid. Going back to what E was saying and Psych was saying, hell yeah, we're afraid of World War III because we don't want to get rid of these comforts. We in the belly of the beast. Being in the belly of the beast, we as niggas in the United States are treated better than the rest of the niggas elsewhere. So that I'd be damned if I want to give up my PlayStation 4. I'd be damned if I want to give up my cable TV. I'd be damned if I want to give up my air condition. Shit. We in the belly of the beast, man. We love it here. We don't want World War III. We don't want to lose these comforts. So hell yeah, we gonna vote one of the two.
I told you.
Now I'm gonna give y'all my just a little bit of my opinion. I can't put a full program down, but high levels of political activity, and it kind of goes with what you just said, War. And this is what the Panther Party was supposed to represent at first. You know, if you read and study any of the Black Panther Party for self-defense first material, one of the main things they said was that we are a political party that's not focused on running people for public office, but for educating the people in political awareness. So they was never even supposed to be for running people for public office. And I don't know what made them decide to go that route with it. But like you just said, I think that a high level of political activity would be to organize and structure your own communities. We have what's commonly referred to as gangs, youth organizations, and gang can kind of be a misnomer. I guess we can call it a gang since, as E said, that we are not by nature materialistic. We've just been infected with another group of people's materialistic nature, you know, and same thing with our culture. When we did the show on culture, and many of you brothers said that there's no such thing as a black culture because we don't operate on our culture. It's a minstrel show. But we've always had young groups from time immemorial, young groups that youngsters could go into, and where they would get their military, their hunting, their basically their man training, and then they would evolve and move to a higher group in the community. That always existed, but real political activity would be us controlling our own communities, us understanding about how we spend our money. A high level of political activity was the Montgomery bus boycott. That was real political activity. You know, one of the things that Huey also said was that we have to understand that capitalism operates off the profit motive. They oppress you because it's profitable. If you ever want them to stop oppressing you, all you got to do is make it non-profitable. That's all you have to do. And that's what they did with the Montgomery bus boycott. They made the oppression non-profitable. They didn't just decide, oh, we're going to let black people ride anywhere they want to ride on the bus because we've had such a change of heart. No, trying to enforce that policy is costing us money. Let's get off that policy. And it's really that simple. Well, if black people understood that and start thinking like that, the mafia in this neighborhood, the Italian mafia in this neighborhoods, they control their neighborhoods. There are certain things, a lot of times you'll see if you watch any of the old movies, they a lot of times they don't go to the police for justice. They go to the local mafia don for justice and say this negative thing has been done in the neighborhood. This person has done this to my daughter. And they would bring justice. You knew not to do certain things in certain in those neighborhoods because you knew that version of the mafia controlled that particular neighborhood, and you just didn't get out of line. That would be real political activity in the black community, where you know that we don't operate like this because this particular crib set is in full control in this neighborhood, and they don't play that. They don't allow you to rob the old women in this neighborhood. And lobbying is another form of a high level of political activity, higher than voting, because those groups of people, like the Jewish community, every other community but us, even the LGBTQ, however you say it, they done created a community. But these other groups are intelligent enough to lobby, and therefore they have the ability to move politicians in the way that they want to move politicians. Why you think there's a very, very small group of Jews in this society, but they have way more power than black people have because they know how to move. And that's not saying anything negative. They're just being honest. You know, it's one thing that Farrakhan said one time. He said, because I teach my people to be like you, to operate the way that you operate, to utilize power the way you use it. Malcolm said it. He said we need to start being Pan-Africanists, just like we need to be Pan-Africanists, just like you have world jewelry. That's what Malcolm called it. He understanding that, he was saying that he saw that they move together in one unit. They spend the same. They vote the same. That's the way Black people need to act. We need to spend the same, because you got to understand, every time you spend, that's a vote. Every time you spend your money, that is a vote. If you are a person that's against prison, and you spend your money with a company that owns prison or makes money off prison, you are voting for prison. You do not spend your money in companies or with people that are working against you. You just simply do not do it. It doesn't make sense. So these are the things that I think of when I think of high level of political activity. And the Panthers was right about this, because we understood that our people are political chumps. Our people do not understand politics. We don't get it. So that's why they stress the political education classes. That's why you had that weekly political education class. And then they had and I don't know which one or which person, or if it was a group of people that came up with it. They came up with the brilliant idea of the free breakfast programs. And while those kids was in those free breakfast programs, they was getting politically educated. That's what made them so dangerous. They drew the kids to their, because the babies are the greatest. You start with the youth, and they start teaching them while they was there getting that free breakfast. Then they created the liberation schools. Was able to drop their kids off, and then when they dropped their children off at the liberation school so they can go to work, they was getting that political education. They was raising the political consciousness. And you can see how dangerous that is, because you got to understand that this society, most societies, miseducate their citizens, because they do not want their citizens operating from a powerful understanding. They don't want it, because people in power don't want to lose power. They want to stay in power. And this is what the main thing that our people are not understanding. They're running out to vote for Kamala because it's a black woman, running out to vote for Donald Trump because they believe Donald Trump gonna help you keep some of your money in your pocket, running out to vote the way they vote. They don't understand that people in power do whatever they have to do to stay in power, and that is not catering to you, because you have no power. That's why lobbying works. Lobbying it shows that a people have power. So now I have to kind of listen to these people, or the representative these people have sent. And our so-called Black leaders, and I'm gonna get quiet on this one, because y'all been going, this is y'all conversation, but our so-called Black leaders have been able to get their power by being able to deliver the Black vote. That's been their main thing, being able to deliver that Black vote. That's what they've all been tasked with. And whatever quote unquote leader could deliver, or at least promise to deliver, that Black vote, that's the one who had the ears of this administration, or whatever administration was in power at the time, because he could get me that Black vote. And that's what we got to understand. We got to understand we have to be willing to do those boring things that he talked about, do some reading, understand what politics is. Voting is just one weapon or tool in the political toolbox, just one out of hundreds. And it's the weakest one that you have, unless you're dealing with it on a local level. The same people that go to crazy to go vote for the president do not deal with local politics, things that they actually control, people that you can actually hold accountable with your vote. A sheriff, you can hold people accountable with your vote. You don't have the ability to hold certain offices accountable. And it's two things that have been taken completely out of your hand as a people. And these things are too powerful for you not to have no control over. We told you don't have control over who takes the presidential office. The Electoral College do. They just make you think that you have a choice in the decision. And the Supreme Court, you have no power in that whatsoever. And those things are too important for you not to have any say-so about. And that's all I had to say on that, y'all.
Well, I would say if voting locally is even a part of the facade, simply because of what Ward was talking about, because it's a career path. You don't become a councilman and all of that to remain a councilman. Most of the people that go into that shit are looking to become a mayor or alderman, looking to become a governor, looking to move their way on up. So it's the same corruption. We've got, and you said the sheriff in Lakeland, this dude's got like national fame, the Polk County sheriff, I forget his name, some white jackass, but Black folks hate this dude. because he's a good sheriff. He does what, white sheriffs do. But and we have no say so in that. Even if the black population here got together and voted, it wouldn't fucking matter because it's still majority white, number one. Number two, most of the businesses, the vast majority of businesses are still white run and will still put the same types of pressure on an elected official locally that they put on the national stage and the international stage. Voting is about maintaining the facade. You have to maintain the facade of what? A democratic society. That's the buzzword. Even though this is not a democracy, understand, again, this is politics. This is not a democracy. There is a difference. This is a republic. Repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic, not to the democracy, to the republic for which it stands. It's not a democracy, but they maintain the facade of a democracy by having people vote, knowing full well from top to bottom, from national to local, that it's all just a cover for, as we mentioned earlier, for the capitalism. It's a cover for the maintenance of a system that continues to keep people enslaved, but instead of calling it slavery, they call it employment. Think about it. Even if you're an entrepreneur, you have to pay taxes to the government. For what? What has the federal government done to help your situation, especially to the extent that they deserve a cut of the money that you make? That's your money, but you got to give it to them or you're going to jail because they have a monopoly on violence in this country, in this world. The state can enact violence and it's perfectly legal. It's what they're supposed to do. We voted for it, so they get to do it. And that's the only reason. They can take money out your pocket without your say-so, without your cosign, whether you like it or not. Vote if you want to, but those with the power, those with the financial status control the fact that you pay more on your income tax than Trump pays on his capital gains tax. He's a billionaire, pays less taxes. It's nonsense. So all of this, whether it's voting locally or nationally, it's all a part of the same game. And when we talk about what is politics for black folks think, I don't want to talk about politics. And as we've said, because we don't understand what politics is. We think that, what is his name, Colin Kaepernick, taking a knee during a football game, oh, he's being political. Are you aware that before all of these games, when motherfuckers get up and sing the national anthem, that's politics. That's a political statement, just like him getting on a knee is a political statement. And on the backside of feeding your children, that's my favorite political aspect, because not only does it give us an opportunity to affect the education and the mindset of our children, those sisters and brothers, especially sisters who are able to drop their children off someplace that they know they're going to be safe, they know they're going to have a meal, and they know they're going to learn something. It backs up. It educates us in the community. It brings us together. The Arena Mafia and other folks, other groups of people were able to maintain control in their own neighborhoods is because the neighborhood had confidence in them and what they were going to do. They were politicized. They had their loyalty to a certain group, and it wasn't the police. But we have a loyalty to the government, to the police, that we don't have to one another, because we've bought into this idea that the government is going to take care of us, even though they never have. Again, because we're emotional, because we no longer care about our past, our history, who we are. We just go along with the emotional surface level and think that we're actually contributing or having an idea or a thought that's our own. And so we continue to give away that political ability, that political power, which is really a cultural power. Politics flows from the culture, and that's the culture that exists now, that individual identity. I'm going to do what I want to do. You can't tell me not to vote for Trump. Again, Kamala can come out and tell you, I'm not going to do shit for you. But rather than to listen to what she said, because you for some reason got it in your head, I got to vote for her because she's black, whatever the excuse, because it's about self-determination, which has nothing to do with self-determination at all. We run and we vote for her, or we run and we vote for him because we're told to do it. You got two people to choose from, two goddamn people, all these people in this country, and they give you two. That don't make no damn sense. It's a whole lot more people. So yeah, go ahead, Ward, my bad.
No, all I was going to say is we just got to remember and go back when we talk about solutions, and we have to have a solution here. You identified that early on when you basically said that we vote as individuals. And see, the thing is, and even going back to what Syke just talked about the street tribes, as well as when you throw in the mafia. Remember, the mafia realized that there was power in labor unions. The mafia transferred a lot of their power base in terms of controlling the communities through unions. The mafia started running the unions, and when mafia ran the unions, that now all of a sudden you're controlling the workers, and when you control the workers, now you have the ability to boycott. And when the ability to boycott is going to be able to pull the money out of the hands of the corporations. And when you talk about money, and when you talk about exploitation, if I stop the flow of that money, then I stop the flow of being oppressed. That's the key right there, people. If we use our actual power that we got, that we have handed over, to stop the flow of oppression, you stop the flow of the money. You follow the money. Wherever the money is going, that's where you need to put the chokehold on. But what does that mean, people? That means I have to do without the latest and greatest iPhone. That means I got to do without some of the nice toys that we all look forward to year after year after year on the upgrade level. So from that standpoint, if we truly wanted to make change, then we would hurt the pocketbooks of those that turn around and use it against us. It's no different than realizing that when you talk about the riches of the continent of Africa, these raw materials are stripped from the continent, turned into products, just to turn right back around and we buy the products that came from the raw materials that was exploited from us. So it's literally like somebody taking a stick off the ground in your own front yard, going back. They took the stick from you for nothing. You basically gave them the stick. They went back home, threw a little paint on it, and brushed it up, and came back to your front yard, knocked on your door, and sold you that very stick that they got for free out of your front yard for $100 now. And you want to buy this stick now because it looks shiny and lustrous, not realizing that you gave them that stick for free. And now you willing to take that same natural resource that you would not do anything with and let it be sold right back to you, and it came out of your front yard. This is where our head is at right now. We don't recognize what power is. We don't recognize ourselves. And since we don't recognize ourselves, we don't have a reason to be looked upon as, why should I listen to what you got to say? Why should I give you anything when I got you and I already got you under my control? So there's no point in doing any of the things that's going to benefit you, because you where I want you to be. And because we are continually give away our power, this is what's going to happen year after year, election after election, period, because nothing has changed in terms of our demands. We have not made any demands. When black folks now go out and protest, most of the time, this is what we're seeing as Panthers. We go out and visit these protests, and we'll find, hey, where's the demand? I don't see no literature being handed out at these protests with demands being made, with changes that we want to see implemented. All I see is folks yelling, holding protest signs, and yelling, holding protest signs, and cursing each other out, and making a statement. No demands, no accountability, no use of power. And as long as that's what we are as a people, and operating on that individual level, we don't deserve, because we're not using our power, we don't deserve to be respected by power. Power only respects power. That's basic. It's that basic. But because we don't see that, because we've been neutralized in our ability to embed and implement what power means, this is where we're at. It goes back to what we even say on our platform. We employ education for our people that exposes the true nature of this decadent American society. And we provide an education that teaches us our true legacy in history. If we're not doing that, people, if we're not defining who we are, developing who we are, and then being able to defend what we have defined and developed, then nothing else matters. Right now, we're operating off their definitions. We operating off their developments, and all we are the consumers. We can cry, bitch, complain all we want, but we're going to still go out and spend not only our hard-earned money, quote unquote, but the credit that we can't afford to go and buy something that we can't afford, that basically came from our natural resources that they stole from us and continue to exploit from us, period. What do we talk about? Intellectual properties, going back to these same hip hop artists who in turn sleep in the same bed of corporate America, to the natural resources and wealth that are in the Caribbeans or on the continent of Africa. My niggas love trinkets and toys and crumbs. As long as my niggas love bristling, shiny crumbs, why in the hell should I expect anything else? We are in love with glittery, glustery, shiny crumbs. The crumb game is our game. We're okay with that. As long as we're okay with the crumbs, this is where we are. If we're unwilling to change our dynamics, unwilling to change and get down and do the hard work, and that's be accountable for ourselves. Accountability, people, as a collective unit, accountability. As long as we're not willing to actually hold ourselves accountable for each other, then you cannot expect an exploiter to do anything different. If my tribe is not willing to do what my tribe should do for itself, I am going to be exploited. That is war. War is going to say, I'm going to come at you, and if you're not prepared, I'm going to get you, and I'm going to take what I got, the spoils of war. I'm going to get it. And as long as you're okay with that, because we can say what we want to say, but as long as we are continuing the process of allowing exploitation to continue the way it is, then we actually are okay with it, which is why we just prefer you not let it hurt so bad, not let it sting so bad, and you slow poison me. As long as you slow poison me, I'm cool with this. And that's what we have reduced ourselves to become.
Long-term reactionary suicide. But let me say this real quick, just for the record, boy. Ain't nobody buying PS4s no more. I don't know if you've heard it's PS5. Did everybody? That's the news one. So that shit you said earlier about buying PS4. You need to step up a little bit, get with the times.
I got one last question, y'all. This is a serious question, and so we can go and start shutting it down. One question, y'all might go forever on it, and I want a real answer. Don't give me the reverse. I want to know. I'm going to play devil's advocate here. Tell me one good thing if Trump was to get in office. Tell me one good thing about Trump. Tell me one good thing about Kamala. Because we got millions of people that love these people. I just want to know one good thing. What we think would be a positive.
I tell you a good thing is that Trump will let you know that he's going to take us to war, and we'll be forced as Black people to probably have to do for self, because we may not have a system that can do it. Because I think Trump getting in office, he's going to go after China. I think if Kamala go in office, she's going to use her Indian heritage to take us to war with India to secure the Middle East and all of the resources over there, which is what's going on. I think they're just going to do that the same way Obama was basically used to go after the power base that was being built in Africa and take down Gaddafi. So Kamala at that same point is going to do the same thing on the Middle East and attack and try to come in on the forces of India. If Trump get into office, I think he's going to try to misogynize Russia, and then they're going to go after China. So I think the one good thing that we may see is World War III. And if Kamala wins, same deal.
What about you, E? What positive do you see out of either of these candidates?
I don't see no more positive out of either one of them. Because again, they're not running shit. They don't. I don't know if y'all know who Anthony Blinken is, and some of these other cats that are behind the scenes manipulating and making the decisions and whatnot for policy and whatnot. A lot of times these cats are the ones that go over to Israel or wherever, especially with Biden being out of his mind and whatnot. They go over and have these conversations. Again, direct your attention back to the fact that the military, the Pentagon, was not telling Trump what was going on. So he couldn't make decisions, even if the decisions were his to make. So, he wanted to pull out of certain places. They wouldn't let him. They wanted to go into certain places he didn't want to. They forced his hand, so they went in. So again, understanding the shit, I have nothing positive to say about either one of them. They're puppets. They got nothing. A billionaire, don't give a fuck about your broke ass. The other chick has obviously given up on Black men, so she got a white boy Jew, so she could further move up into the game. But I mean, let's be honest. Obama, like was mentioned, Barack Hussein Obama was brought in during a time when, after the whole Cold War was fizzling out, was fading out, the enemy was no longer Russia, it was terrorism. So what you do, you get you a brown-skinned dude with a terrorist name and put him in there so he can better matriculate into and have conversations with other motherfuckers that you consider terrorists and politic them into a particular situation, into a particular pill. So you have the same situation with Kamala. Yeah, she's got Indian heritage and whatnot, and they may well be planning to use that to exploit, because India, yes, is getting way too close to China and to Russia and to Iran. So yes, that could very well be a part of their game plan. But again, the reality of it is, and I'm surprised that anybody is co-signing for some shit that I would say, I welcome the fucking World War III. I don't have a problem with it, because you're catching hell already. To quote your favorite candidate, what do you got to lose? I mean, shit. Let's just be honest about it. It for me, I would rather be at home with my chickens, my rabbits in the garden all fucking day than be working in a damn hot box, easy bake oven construction site, building some shit for chump change to make some white boy rich so he can travel to Sweden, ride on his boat, do lottie-dottie, and to help develop this overall infrastructure. I would much rather be developing my own infrastructure, setting up a situation where I can trade eggs, to get bread from the neighbor down the street. So much easier, so much face to face, so much, just above board. So no, I can't say anything positive about either one of them. One of them's a nigga hater, one of them's a nigga. What the fuck? I refuse to go along with either one of them. I refuse the scenario. In Mobsters? Y'all remember that scene? Where the boy is, what's his name? Rothstein is talking to Luciano, and he's telling him, I guess it's Luciano, he's telling him a scenario. If you coming out of a barbershop and you look to your left and you see a dude coming down the street, dressed a certain way, walking a certain way. You look to your right, you see another dude dressed similarly, walking a certain way with certain swag about himself. And you realize all of a sudden it's a hit. You only have time to shoot one of them. One of them. You only got time to shoot one of them. Luciano Stockton says, no, I refuse. I'm not quoting. This is not verbatim. But he says, no, in order for me to survive, I got to get rid of both of them. Rothstein insists, no, you only have time to get rid of one. No, in order for me to survive, I have to get rid of both of them. So in order for us to survive, we have to get rid of both of them from our minds. It's not, as long as we hold on to this choice that they've set up for us, these choices that they're putting in front of us and saying, this is these options that they set up the choice too. They're ruling the choice that we're the decision and all of that, the choices that we make, all of that shit, options, decisions, and choices, all of that shit is theirs. We don't have any of that shit because we gave it away. So that, yes, they give us these two options to this side or that side, and we actually, dumbest fucking statement ever, I'm going to vote for the lesser of two evils. So you're telling me you're voting for evil. That's all I want to know. You're voting for evil. You're admitting that you are voting for evil. It's the big devil over the little devil. But Jesus is cool with you voting for evil. The fuck out of my face with that double talk. If you're going to do something different, if you don't want to vote for evil, if you don't want the evil, then you got to do the work that evil don't want you to do. And the evil that evil don't want you to do, the work that evil don't want you to do is the hard work. That's why they have you hard working for them, so that you're too tired to do the hard work for yourself. So you're going to do easy shit, which is to go down to a school center, which, by the way, a whole lot of times in the white neighborhoods, they go in, wait 5 or 10 minutes, vote, and go home. While in our neighborhoods, we go and we have to wait 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 hours to get into the voting pool. When we go in, we hit the vote, and we go home with a little pen or a sticker or some shit. I voted, and think we done did something. That is fucking pathetic. That is pathetic. I mean, my children, Rashida and Taheem, my oldest, did more work in the community than going into a fucking polling booth, pushing a button and going home and think that they've done something to help change the world. One vote. Oh, yes, I did. You didn't do shit. You didn't do shit. Let's just be honest about it. You ain't doing nothing. You're pathetic if that's what you put your hopes and dreams in, because there's somebody else in control of it. As long as they give you two options and you think that that's something to be proud of, You're silly. You need to stop. You don't need to vote. Matter of fact, you're proving what Jefferson and all the founding fathers that Syke was talking about. There's the founding fathers that said that shit. Washington and them said y'all are too stupid to run yourself. And if you keep doing that shit, you're proving them right. You're doing exactly what they had in mind. Not for us, because we were never supposed to vote, but the system overall, because they believe you're too stupid to govern yourself. And when you sit up and you vote for evil, evil one or evil two, thing one, thing two, as long as you buy in to voting for some evil and think that you're doing good, you dumb. That's so stupid. Can you understand that? Can you hear that? I'm going to do good by voting for the lesser of two evils. Get the fuck out of here. Stop it. Stop it. Stop. It's just stupid, man.
Well, I got a story to kind of back up that one you said on mobsters. I ain't seen mobsters in a year. I might have to check it out again. But it goes with what you just said. It's a story. It's a Zen koan, and a master is sitting up talking to a student, and he pick up a stick, and he says, "If you say that this is a stick, I'm gonna hit you with it." He say, "If you say that this is not a stick, I'm gonna hit you with it. If you say nothing, I'm gonna hit you with it. What do you do?" And the student grabbed the stick and broke it. And the moral of the story, the dude that was telling the story, he say, there's always a choice. If you ever put in a position where there is really no choice, then you break that stick. And that's kind of what I think you're saying is essentially you got to break the stick. But
if you truly believe this shit is no good and it's not for us and it's not gonna do, stop voting. If I see, I don't know, if I need to stay in the house, because if I see some Pan-Africanist organization bullshit trying to register motherfuckers to vote, I may lose my shit. Y'all done already tried to equate our struggle to what the Palestinians and them are going through and get us hooked up into some bullshit that may well get us slaughtered, because we ain't ready for that type of shit. We are not ready for what they go through over in Palestine and in Palestine. We're not ready for that level of shit. We're not. We're just not. We don't have anybody to bail us out of jail. We don't have anybody to pay our emergency hospital bills. We don't have anybody to get our back. We don't have each other to get our back. They got entire nations talking about their issue. They've got entire countries saying, fuck you, we're not buying your oil or your whatever, we're selling it to you. You're not welcome to come to this event or whatever. There was something, motherfuckers got, they refused to allow Israel to attend, and so the U.S. boycotted. I forget what the event was. But entire nations are looking at this shit and making it a part of their platform. Countries, shit you've never heard of. Entire fucking countries are paying attention to what's going on in Palestine and are moving their chips about to go to war over this shit. Ain't nobody going to war over your black ass. Nobody. The most we got is Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali coming together and doing what they're supposed to do, trying to set the example for the rest of the continent by kicking white boys out and taking control of those natural resources, saying exactly what War was talking about. No longer going to sell you gold so that you can repackage that shit and sell it to everybody, including us, and make a mint. From now on, we're going to pull the gold out the ground. We're going to make it into some shit, and then you can buy our shit. That's politics. That's nationalism. That's Pan-Africanism. That's all of that shit. That's the shit we're supposed to do. We export from our communities, the only thing we have. And that's the one thing that we brought to this country when they brought us over here. The only thing we've ever had to export and to utilize is our labor, period. And we keep exporting that labor. We will send people out. We go to work for everybody, including the oppressor, but we don't do the work in our own communities to do what it is we need to do. So it's obvious we have more confidence and love and faith and all of those things in the oppressor. And we keep on showing it in everything that we fucking do. Everything. So it's nonsense. My bad.
But that's why I said that when Syke asked about something positive out of the two, I'm basically saying that what we have to recognize is things is going to have to get worse before they get better for us. We have to be bagged into the corner. We can go back to the Panther for that. The Panther, the logo of the Panther. Remember, the Panther is at its best when you bag it into that corner because it's gonna come out fighting. Apparently, our people Before we gonna get off our ass and do what we need to do in terms of self-determination, we got to be bagged into a corner. Because right now, we got too many distractions and we in love with our distractions. We in lust with our distractions, should I say. And until you get us in a position to where we ain't got no choice, because right now we in love with the options. Until you get us in a position to where we have to do what we need to do, apparently we ain't gonna do it. So I'm saying I look forward to the world wars from that standpoint, because what it'll do is it'll force the hand that we need to implement in terms of power. Because if you look at Africa, it's already at war with itself. It's already struggling. Black folks, we already shooting guns and killing each other in our own community. What is war going to mean to us? How much worse can it get for us in terms of what we done already endured historically in order to get in a position where we've been neutralized and don't even recognize what power is? We are afraid because we so much want to be the house nigga. We so much want to be that my nigga. And right now, that option needs to not be an option. And that's where we are. So that's what I have to unfortunately say I look forward to, simply because it apparently is going to take all out hell for us to realize we in hell so that we can do what we need to do and get off our ass and hold ourselves accountable.
And I still adamantly believe us being in that situation, judging from history, people don't fall back on doing what's necessary to move forward. They fall back on what they're used to doing. And as these low income motherfuckers keep coming into this country or being brought into this country and placed into certain areas, it's going to force us as individuals. We're going to go to war as individuals. You're going to see a bunch of poor folk, black, brown, white, and otherwise, that are from this country fighting and going heads up with cats that came over illegally. And that's a part of the program. They want to get that vote because they're being given the right to vote left and right. Cities, sanctuary cities across the country, cats coming in with no allegiance to this country at all, but given the right to vote and da-da-da-da-da. All you have to do is look across the pond over at the UK and the shit that's going over there. These motherfuckers are clashing in the streets, just bona fide, it's like the gangs in New York. If you ever seen it, go watch the gangs in New York. Motherfuckers that was born in the country versus those that just came over. So again, internal strife, and all of that's going to rip it apart. And so having some type of unified, some type of cultural something for us to fall back on, for us to build on. If that shit's not already in development, it's not already there. Once it's dog eat dog world, because this shit that we deal with ain't bad compared to other countries. Talk to some motherfuckers from Haiti. They'll tell you what bad can be. Talk to some motherfuckers in some of these other countries. They'll tell you what. You imagine waking up in the morning and it's 10,000 motherfucking neighbors of your neighbors dead. Like just the whole fucking city, half the city is just dead. Wake up to that shit. Fuck that gang shit y'all got going on. Fuck that street shit y'all got going on. We talking about entire communities just gone. That's some shit. That's some real, grimy shit. And this is what we're setting ourselves up for by remaining divided and as individuals playing the game that they want us to play. And that's why I was saying, yeah, break the stick. Take your fucking ball and go home. Quit playing the game. Refuse to play the game. That's all you got to do. Stop playing the fucking game. Stop. But I like your shirt though.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool shirt, ain't it? It's that new Panther 48 shirt. Yeah. Only thing is I got it too big. I thought I was bigger than what I am. I like to have, I'll be working hard on this. It's supposed to show up. It's supposed to come through the shirt. But let me say this. I'm gonna be devil's advocate. I'm gonna shoot this out there for people to think on. And I hate to say it because I know E gonna want to cut into me for another 30 minutes, and I don't have 30 minutes, E. The positive that I say of Kamala Harris winning the presidency or even running is this. This is the only positive I got for her. And you got to be open-minded to hear what I'm about to say. The human mind operates off president, meaning that, and I ain't saying president, I'm saying president. Maybe you could say it better, E, P-R-E-C-E-D-E-N-T. I'm saying that. We operate off what we've seen before and what we believe is possible. And so if she made it, then that would put a certain inspiration into the hearts of young black girls to believe higher and what they can accomplish. Because a lot of time right now, what we're dealing with, we believe the highest thing for them to admire and look up to being is sexy red. These are the things that they're admiring right now, and these are the things that they believe that they can be. The what is that thing? The bonnet wearing, house shoe wearing, tights in the grocery store female. That's what they believe. And I'm not saying that Kamala Harris is a role model, but it's like I think his name was Benjamin Banneker. I think his name was the first person that ran a 4 minute mile. And before that, they said it was impossible. They said it was possible. Roger Banneker, that was his name. Roger Banneker, Benjamin Banneker, somebody else. Roger
DC.
Banneker, yeah, yeah. Roger Banneker is the first person that ran a 4 minute mile. Before he did it, they said it was impossible. The human body could not run a 4 minute mile until he did it. Then after he did it, a week later, somebody else did it. And then now it's standard. Just about everybody that run track can run a 4 minute mile. That's standard now. But he had to set the precedent. He had to set it. And by him doing it, they showed what was possible. And I'm not saying that trying to be the president is what black girls should be trying to do, but by seeing that, it makes them believe in so much other things that are possible. The positive about Trump, and this I believe is only a positive if you're trying to operate in the entrepreneurial space. If you have a LLC, a S corp, a C corp, if you operating on any of those type of structures, and you're putting in the due diligence to learn, because there are tricks. There are certain tricks that you can use and play once you start actually understanding the game of capitalism, because it's a game. And once you start understanding the tricks that go along with it, I think that he is going to benefit those who learn those tricks. And there's a lot of young brothers that are learning those tricks and learning how to play the game. We always say that Barack Obama didn't do anything, and he didn't do what he could have did. One of my standards of judgment for any president, and especially Barack Obama, and I told brothers this when we was on vacation, I said, this will let you know who we're really dealing with. Because he done had his 2 terms. He can never run for president again. He'd have made a lot of money doing it, not from the office itself, but from engagements, book sales, things like that. Because I think the office itself only pays 200,000 a year. I think that's what it is. But you make so much more just on who you are and the limelight that you get. But so he'll never be able to do that again. But they do get the ability, like y'all just talked about Trump, pardoning Lil Wayne and Kodak Black and people like this. I wanted to see him pardon people like Asada Shakur, Matula Shakur, Mumia Abu Jamal, Sundiata Akoli, people that's been locked up forever. And that's what I be wanting to see. And I know we ain't gonna see it, but that'll give you an understanding of who you're really dealing with. But that's the only positive I see that could possibly come out of those two candidates.
Well, out of respect for your time, I'm not gonna say shit.
Because I know you want to blank out.
Yeah, damn right. Shit.
Rightfully so after that.
Yeah.
I'm with E on this one. Rightfully so.
You sound so NAACP with that. No. You role model or not, being able to play the game better for me is not positive, because no matter how well you play and learn to play the game, you still a nigga. Obama's still a nigga. Kamala's still a nigga. We all still niggas, but they played the game. Kamala fucked the way up.
That's what I was gonna tell you about Obama. The one thing he did do. The one thing he did do. This is the one thing he did do. He is the first sitting president to ever visit a prison. The first one to ever do it. And on his last term, the things that he set into place, two major things that he set into place, people started making parole. They wasn't letting people make parole at first. And I don't want to get into because we don't have the time. I don't want to get into the details of how that worked, but just imagine, let's say E, you the father of the house. Everybody live in the house, you get them, everybody live in the house, they have their own room, governors and states, and you give them a certain budget monthly. You give them a certain budget, just like a federal government gives certain budgets or certain things to states. Where you cut the budget you cut the budget that you're given giving people because you see that too much is being spent on prison. And basically your incentive was learn how to use your parole system. Start getting some of your money back in parole fees and learn how to use your parole system. So states had to start actually letting people out of prison. That's one of the things that they went off on the Barack Obama's administration. One of the things that he started digging into was we talk about that crack era, the era that Kamala sent a lot of black men to prison in California, that gang era, a lot that was when she was a DA during that era, when she buried a lot of people. But we talk about that era, and one of the things that they discovered in the book, The New Jim Crow by Michelle Alexander, I got it over there, I don't feel like getting up and getting it. But in that book, it explains how uh the first black president, Bill Clinton, as they call him, the policies these people put into place buried black men, and they start to realize that those policies hurt us so bad, and it was Barack Obama's administration that did went into this digging. Do you know that a lot of these ideas that they had about how violent we were and how bad it was not even real? These ideas weren't even real. They was basing it off the voters was in fear because of the stuff that they were seeing in movies, the popularity of movies like Scarface, the popularity of a lot of these gang movies and these extremely violent movies, Marked for Death, Steven Seagal, and all these things. A lot of this violence that was shown in these movies was just theater. Yes, there was real violence going on in the neighborhood, but it was theater, and they was burying us. So he forced them to start using the parole, system, and they can only go back 7 years on doing a background check unless it's a crime against a child, molestation, things like sex crime, or unless you're trying to get a job in a bank and you have a history of robbery, things like that. Other than that, now that's why the blue box is not so hard as it used to be on a person coming out of prison. Person coming out of prison used to be almost impossible to find a job. Now, if you come out of prison and this past 7 years, they can't see it. They can't see it unless you give them permission to. You mess around and slip up and tell too many people about your background, and then they come to you and ask you to sign a paper that give them the permission to go back past 7 years. Those are the two things that he did. And a lot of times we don't know that because prison and that thing doesn't affect us. So though I'm not saying I'm a fan of these people. I'm just looking at this thing objectively. Now, Eve has come from my head right here.
Now, objectively, let's understand the game. Peep game. These motherfuckers, Obama, yes, it would have been nice in his second term since he couldn't run again. He was getting money not just from appearances, but from J.P. Morgan and other companies were filling his profit, his coffers and shit, his coffers. And understand this is a man who honestly doesn't give a fuck about the black community, because he went to build his presidential library. He basically made a whole bunch of black folks in Chicago, Illinois, and homeless. There was a big to-do about it. He was going to put this shit, spend all this money to build this shit, and uproot a bunch of families. But understand, especially in the second term, he's not just being a good politician, which he was, still is, because he's still doing a whole lot of shit behind the scenes. He was setting up, not himself, but the Democratic Party, because who came right behind him was old Hillary. Okay. So for him to go out on a good note of having pardoned some folks, he didn't pardon anybody, or not pardon, but he basically he tightened up the prison industrial complex's management of its slave population. That's what it boils down to. He said, look, y'all need to manage this shit better. Get some of these people back out on the streets. They can make some more money out here. And the Democratic Party has a little bit of a good taste in its mouth. He didn't do anything for anybody of any consequence. As you noted, Assad is still out there, and all these other cats, Mumia is still out there. All of this shit. Didn't do anything of any consequence. He did some shit that was fairly banal in terms of the political game, and he set the Democratic Party up because they could kick back and look at that and say, look, this is one thing that Obama did to help the black community. And here come Hillary trying to capitalize all of that. And yes, you're 100% correct. The whole idea back during Clinton's time of being president and the whole three strikes, and a matter of fact, Hillary was one of the ones they call us super predators. But she was running for president and was able to say the Democratic Party let some of you predators out, of made it a little bit easier for some of you predators to come home. So it was just a setup. It didn't have anything to do with actually doing anything substantial. Otherwise, in his second term, where he had nothing to lose, he could have written executive orders to not only pardon Assata and whoever else, but to make weed legal, to do whatever other stuff across the board. He could have done that shit, but he didn't do it. So it was a part of the game of setting up the next installment, because it's the long-term game, because it's not about that individual in that scenario. It's about the maintenance of the empire. And one of the folks who was a key author in the three strikes and all that shit during Bill Clinton's time, you know who that was? One of the cats that sat up and said he doesn't want his kids growing up in a cultural jungle, meaning integration. You know who that was? That was your boy, old Joe Dum Dum Biden. Yep. Said that shit, but because of the things that Obama and other folks since him did, laid in place, kept a good taste in the mouth of black folks for the Democratic Party. We put this black folk hating motherfucker that if you don't vote for him, then you ain't black, even though he sent more of y'all to jail. Oh well. So it was just a part of the game to me. It looks nice on the surface and whatnot. Well, it's just part of the game. If he was second term, he could have gone back to Jeremiah's church. Fuck it, I'm going back to church. Fuck what y'all think about my pastor. That's my pastor. You know how black folks is. That's my pastor. Fuck you. I'm going back. He didn't do that. He didn't go back to his, what it was he claimed to have been so foundational and so important. You're the second term in the presidency. Who gonna say something? Who gonna you ain't running again? What's the problem? Go back to your church if it's that real for you. Go back to your barber. Black folks don't leave their barbers and don't leave their churches. We can move to other states, but we gonna come back to the original state to get our hair done and to go to church. That's how we are. But he ain't do none of that shit. So, again, it's all game to me. There is no upside to this game. There's upside in the game, but there's no upside to the game. That's just me. But yeah, I know you're gonna vote for Kamala.
I'm not voting for either one of them. And with that, people, this was your Panther 48. My nigga.